We're at a letter where it is not super easy to find an album. I had to do some digging, and there were some other options that I could have done, but I didn't know that I wanted to. But I was happy and pleasantly surprised to land on a band that I am familiar with and that I do enjoy. And I've kind of now, as a result of listening to all this music, have dove into a rabbit hole of some really, really great music. You're listening to P is for Punk, and today Q is for quality softcore. Listening to a band that has a lot of different talents, and we're going all the way back to 1997, the Mad Caddies. You're kind of going to get this. This is their debut album, Quality Softcore, and it's kind of like exploring this third wave kind of ska that's going on in the country and in the world at the time. It was, from my understanding, it was put out on Fat Records. The Mad Caddies have a long, long longevity with Fat Records. I think probably about 95% of their records in music has been released through Fat, which is cool. Um, and it's a very raw kind of skates punk energy at times. You get that third wave ska, you get that reggae, you get even a little bit of country, and you get some Latin stuff, some vibes like that across this album. So it's an interesting type of thing, and it's kind of knowing where the Mad Caddies ended up and like what they sound like now and what they've sounded like in the last handful of years. I the sound is drastically different than this debut album. And I think you see that a lot with bands. It's just interesting. I had never listened to this record before until I found it because I was looking for albums that started with the letter Q. So going into it, I was thinking like I'm going to get similar sounds to what I'm used to by the Mad Caddies, and it was very different. They're out of California, and I think it's just a bunch of like homies, a bunch of friends, kind of blooming in this ska wave, with Less Than Jake, Real Big Fish. You're getting stuff from Mustard Plug and all that kind of stuff. It kind of fits that 90s ska category, if you will. But this album did get them notice and got them on Fat Records, and it's kind of like this experimental thing. You're getting so much variety of talents and sounds within this record, but you also have some of those stereotypical kind of things, those ska sounds. Sometimes it sounds like it could sound a little cartoony, it could sound a little kind of, I guess now it could sound like gimmicky, but at the time it wasn't gimmicky because this was like a new kind of wave. This was a new thing that was happening. So I wouldn't say gimmicky then, but it depends on when you're listening to it. So it took me a few listen throughs to kind of think about what's going on here. And it's just unique. So let's just dive into it. All right. It starts with the song I'm So Alone. It kind of is a song that punks you out a little bit, if you will. They start with this like reggae kind of, it almost sounds like the dude who's singing is his name is Chuck, I believe, is trying to sound a little Jamaican, if you will. You're getting some offbeat guitar upstrokes, very typical in ska, very typical in reggae, this laid back tempo. And he's singing Far Away and Lost Without You, Fate is Cruel and brings me this, we are not deserving of this, kind of this thing. And then all of a sudden it just picks up and it just completely changes the vibe. And you get like some punk aspects into it, and it lifts it up a little bit. You have horns very present in the song. They don't dominate it, but they definitely add what you need in kind of this third way ska movement. And it's yeah, it was interesting. Like at first I was like, okay, this is gonna be kind of this reggae vibe. And then nope. Oh, now it's like this is here's your ska right here. And they do that a lot across this album. A lot of like different shifts in the sound, in the tones, and the speed and everything, which is fun. It's cool. Overall, the song I think is capturing some loneliness. I sit alone and watch it go. I want it back so bad right now. Just one more time, and then I let it go. So I think there's some emotional disconnect here. Uh, Something that we've seen before, a sad-ish song sounding very upbeat in the musical playing. So I wasn't sure what the rest of this album is gonna bring after hearing that first one, especially for the first time. The second track is called Distress. So this is a little bit more of your ska songs. You have the upbeat, upstrokes. You have some guitar riffs going on, and you have these ska verses, a little faster chorus, kind of like more of a punk feeling chorus, if you will. The horns are there for rhythm, not necessarily melody. And Distress, I think, talking about a little bit of internal chaos, maybe a little bit of unrest somewhere out there. Opens up saying, heard my favorite song on the radio. I get so tired that I just don't know. Is my whole life coming down on me, or is my problem anxiety? All right, fair enough. They're not really going for deeper meanings. They're as far as like you don't have to think about what they're trying to say. Not really like a ton of metaphors or anything in here. And you get kind of this typical 90s ska type of stuff. I would think like Real Big Fish kind of has a lot of vibes like this as well. And I don't want to compare them and say like this or that about them, but everyone has their feelings about Real Big Fish and all that stuff. But I'm saying it's like in the same ilk, if you will. It is a catchy song. Um, it's it's good. It's I want to know, I want to go, I want to take myself so far away. Is kind of those that's your hook, that's your chorus, and it's puts you in a emotion or a mindset that you are probably familiar with. I would be willing to bet not a single person has never had an experience where they're just like, all right, get me out of here. This is chaotic in my mind. It's chaotic, in how I'm feeling, and I just want to go so far away. A strong second song for this album. This next one I was really into. It definitely has a little bit more of a punk vibe to it. It opens with this kind of raw punk, like or whatever you want to say. Has it's very guitar forward. It's kind of short and punchy. It's called Cup of Tea, and it's fun. It is a fun song. I think has a little more sarcastic vibe to it rather than like the sad feeling of it. And I think it just kind of has this message of not taking things super seriously. There's some fun lines in here. It starts by saying, I like my Legos and I like my Lincoln Logs, my action figures, and my comic books. Well, yeah, we like these like childish things. We like these little things. And it says like, don't seem long ago I hung out with G.I. Joe, kind of looking back a little bit at the things that you were doing when you were younger, maybe as a kid. And it's shedding that adulthood a little bit. Legos are still fun. They're insanely expensive. People buy them. I would love if I could afford a Lego set that was legit. I would. but you all have to like start buying more merch or something or sponsor the show for me to get that kind of bread. That's not going to happen. But um, yeah, this is a fun song. It's a pretty quick one, a minute and 41 seconds, short and punchy. And Cup of Tea is definitely a standout song on the record for me, at least from like the things that I like and kind of the things that those um go through. The fourth song on the record is called The Bell Tower, where we get a little bit of a slower tone, if you will, and a little more mood driven of a song. And it talks about isolation again. So we're kind of seeing a little bit of a recurring theme here. Um, Fell for the lust of three little words, thought I could stomach the burn. It brought me this far, those three little words, finding out this bed is too hard. And it's got a little bit of some like O's in the background. It's got a little of these kind of unique vibes to it. And it yeah, kind of has like maybe a minor key feel to it, perhaps. Um it's got a little more instrumental, and then it jumps into the fifth song on the record, where we get some of this uniqueness called No Say. It has the ska rhythm with a little bit of Latin influence, not like too heavy on the Latin influences, but it's there. It's present. It's got a little grooviness to it. It's got this rhythmic kind of vibe to it. The horns are pretty like stylistic and stand out a little bit more. They're not there just for rhythm or anything. Like they're part of the show. They're part of the thing. There's a little bit more of an emphasis on it, which I do like. No Say, which translates to I don't know in English, and it talks about just like a relationship probably going wrong in some regards, or you don't really know what to do with the relationship. Um, and it does have like some crazy, some unique vibes to it a little bit, going like back and forth with some sort of moods with it. Um, you have lines like sipping coffee, sorting boxes, and her fate. Package open, reading, have a nice day. And it says bringing death and destruction to an office downtown, killing 23 people at noon. It's just like kind of yeah, has these contrasts a little bit. Ends on the line, I hear the voices in my head. So it's not what you think you would get with a song that maybe has some unique kind of Latin vibes to it. And then we get to the next song, which is a completely different vibe as well. It's really this country punk feel. It's called Crew Cut Chuck. It's got this swinging rhythm to it. It has not like a ton of the traditional ska right there, but it comes up with that do kind of like background vibe that everybody knows is there. But then you get a little bit of that mix with the ska music to it, and I think it's another sarcastic kind of vibe to it. Um, it's it's a weird one. Like I was thrown off a little bit on this as well when I was listening to it, but it just goes back to the country, and then you get a little punk feel, then a country vibe again, slowed down, then a fast punk one. And I think a lot of bands, especially in the 90s and maybe the early 2000s, kind of did stuff like this. I know the Dead Kennedys has a song like mocking rednecks and stuff like that too. So it's not like it was like super out of the ordinary, but it's not something that probably is expected most of the time. It says, "Oh, let me tell you about two guys I know, old Crew Cut Chuck and Afro Joe, and it's playing music, getting money in their hats, and it's just a weird song. It's fun though. Weird in the best ways possible. Um, Crew Cut Chuck thought they'd kick some ass. Nearly threw a man through glass. It's the police came and took him away. A little song, a little tale, if you will. Maybe a little folklore, which I guess I could see why you would throw um a country kind of twang to it. Next one is called Goleta. Goleta, Goleta. Not the place I want to be. Goleta, Goleta, split twins. Both have HIV. Again, you have some interesting stuff in this song. A minute and 23 seconds. You have this quick kind of ska outburst going on. You have your upstroke guitar. You have your horns. It's a very kind of short one, and it's just an interesting song for sure. Keeps up like a good pace. Kind of keeps the album moving forward. You're about through this halfway part of the album, so I guess that makes sense for sure. Kind of has that hometown inside joke type of vibes to it. You get the pick it up, put it down, and it's just not the place that you want to be. I don't think it's super deep in anything, but I think it's rooted in their kind of where they're from, where they're seen maybe. That's just kind of what I get. A snapshot of, look at this place. Check this out. Perhaps. I could be completely wrong on that. Again, this isn't an album I've listened to 800 times like a lot of the ones that we've covered or that I've covered throughout the show, but that's kind of just like the vibe I get, and it has that short time and the good, all the good stuff that you need in this type of ska vibe. Goes to a song called Big Brother, a little bit of a longer song, over about like 3.5 minutes, which you get a little bit more of the punk side of things, more guitar driven, heavier on the guitar. Not as groovy as some of these other ones. And Big Brother, authority, surveillance, Big Brother, always watching, and kind of this anti-establishment type of feel to it. So this is like, yeah, you're getting a little different vibe on this song. And I do like this one. This is a standout track for me, for sure. And it's a little bit, yeah, with it being a little bit longer, it feels like it's more like impactful. A lot of these songs are pretty short across this record, and you got to have that. If you're going to be a punk band, and if you're going to have this, you gotta stand up against the authority a little bit. You can have sarcastic songs, but every once in a while you're just gonna be like, hey, I'm not doing what you tell me. I'm not gonna listen to this or do that. And it's fun. It's a good one. I could be wrong. I could be wrong on everything I'm saying right now. I'm looking at the lyrics, and it says, this is a race to the end. It started on a hill and ends on a mountain. And when this game winds down, I often wonder whether we'll be more than friends. So it could be still that, like, if changing ways, changing views, kind of changing paths, or maybe one person stood on the beaten path that they've grown up on, another one took a different approach. It could be something like that for sure. LG's is a great song. I really enjoy these next handful of songs on the record. LG is pretty like reggae vibes, a little bit of a slower tempo. You get some bass and drums kind of are the big focus in the instrumentals. Um, it's has like kind of some lifestyle views in it or vibes to it a little bit, kind of like atmosphere over narrative, if you will, hanging out with people and just feeling the scene, feeling the vibes, or not feeling the vibes. And I think there's some relationship stuff in here as well. I don't want any more little girls coming around me no more. I just want a real woman. It's not a whore. Give me your heart. I just might break it. Give me your chance. I'm gonna take it. Give me a chance. You throw me your love. So, kind of like maybe growing up a little bit, trying to find something a little bit different. And yeah, wanting that love, wanting that woman, if you will, and whatever that may be, wanting something real, perhaps. You kind of get that vibe a little bit um in LG's. Polyester Khakis is track number 10. Another one that's pretty fun. It's you got this fast energy with it. You have a tight rhythm. It's got some good hooks to it. You've got the horns there that are present, that are adding a little bit with the transitions of the song. And it's uh it's fun. I do like Polyester Khakis, and it's kind of like mocking people, fake personas, and things like that, about having polyester, khakis and expandable um, waistbands. It's it's a fun one. At first, when I first started listening to it, I started thinking like it was maybe about cops, but it might be a little bit. It starts by saying, 2, 3, skank. It's telling you what to do, and then you get the upbeatness, which I like that a lot. That was fun. Um, from the Polyester Khakis, they were driving me nuts. The reason why I drink, it took away the pain. And then, control, resist, control. And then it says, you're a fucking pig, fucking pig. So I guess it could be about that still. Um, it all kind of depends, when I see the preppy side of things too, kind of mocking the people that were maybe a little more snooty, or maybe had a little more money back in the day, wore the your khakis and a polo or something like that. Just people that you don't always vibe with. Um, yeah, could be multiple interpretations, but I do like the vibes of this song. It's fun, and it's kind of got the things that I enjoy in punk and in ska. So maybe it's a little commentary on punk versus conformity. Could be that. Could be a lot of different things. I'm just some schmuck talking on a microphone. I could be wrong in everything I'm saying, but I think good enough vibe there. Up next is a song called Preppy Girl. I think following a little bit of the same vibe of Polyester Khakis a little bit. This is more like a straightforward punk track, less genre blending here, guitar driven, and it's looking at talking about Preppy Girl. Simple and direct with this. Maybe talking about like some superficial relationships, or the superficial kind of looks that you would consider with a preppy girl. Superficial relationships, it could be as well. It's fun. It's good. It's entertaining. Um, open saying the trees are like scarecrows, the leaves are on the ground. Children in their own world are the only sound. The bully on Grand Avenue, the pocket knife in his hand. It's kind of talking about like different attitudes, different different things going on. Maybe it could be, it could be opposites attracting themselves. Not too bad. Not too bad. And then we get into a song called Mum's the Word. Short, punchy song, about a minute and a half long again. Has a little bit of a gradual, not a gradual, it's like minimal structure. Um, Pretty quick pacing to it. And has some things I think they're like that they just left unsaid. A proclamation of the situation tends to bend when you have too much to drink and you piss off your friends. Yeah, I think we've all been in situations like that. You let the booze take over a little bit. You say some things that you end up regretting, some things that maybe you shouldn't have said before. And yeah, it's not always fun. It says you can't talk and you can't walk and you don't know your name. You find yourself attracted to a very ugly dame. It's I think some of this is a little vague. Um, I'm sure that's intentional. Maybe it's meant to just be a little bit funny on the funnier side, or what. But yeah, you listen to that a little bit, and you can kind of find some memories. And then we get to the final song of the record, "Sad Reggie," um, which is a good song, a very long song, a little under 5 minutes. So definitely um, different pacing in this closing track, a little more emotional. It has a little gradual build, and then some shifts to it. It's got to focus on kind of melody and mood. And I think it's just talking about like some sadness going on in the world of addiction, kind of looking at a person's struggle, a person's sadness a little bit. Um, it's it's interesting, it's like this album has like so many different vibes to it, which I think is why it's pretty impactful and pretty powerful. It has a line like, "Well, he's one strong motherfucker. He's toppled the sides alone. He will be done before he ever understands." So that alone has it's a little ambiguous to a degree on what it could be, but it's like, in the dark day he's dealing, on the lights is where he stands. He's got no hope of his future for a his hardworking hands. If he's gonna make it, he's gonna do it on his own. So it just kind of seems like, yeah, a person who isn't ready to face the facts, isn't ready to say maybe they need some help, and it's kind of an emotional way to end this record that has so many different things to it. So we see a lot of themes in here about like loneliness, isolation. It's got some satire of different people of different social groups, and you get some good punk messaging in it every once in a while. I think it has everything you need for a ska record, especially a ska record from back in the 90s. The cover is it's a pretty cool cover. I do enjoy it. It's Mad Caddies. It kind of gives you the Cadillac symbol. They're put their take on it a little bit. It's got this pink and purple background, two kind of old school gentlemen in blazers and suits looking at a dirty mag, if you will. Quality soft core is what it's called. So, you know, you kind of get it. I don't really think it does like you can't like look at the album cover alone and kind of be like, was this vibe gonna be? Or at least I didn't when I looked at it, but it's a good album cover. It's a fun cover. Following this record comes a smattering of music. They've had consistent releases, like I said, pretty much all across. Um, Fat Records, Duck and Cover came out in 98, Rock the Plank in 2001, Just One More 2003. They had a live album in 04, Keep It Going in 07, Consensual Selections in 2010, Dirty Rice in 2014, Punk Rock Steady, which is an album of all covers They do, and they like really make it their own. It's pretty great. I really like that one. They cover Bad Religion, Green Day, Against Me, and a bunch of other people as well. So that's a fun one. And that was the final record, from my understanding, that was released on Fat Records. They have a 2024 release, Arrows Room 117, that came out on 55 Rose Records. So they've been doing it for quite some time. They've been around for a long, long time, and they definitely have changed kind of the vibes a little bit. The singing style has dramatically changed. Like on Quality Soft Core, his singing has this like, I don't really know how to describe it. It was a boop, 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 like kind of like you know what I mean? Like it has that stereotypical kind of old school ska vibe, where now it's definitely more polished, more clean. Um, he's gotten older, but he's got a really good voice. On Quality Softcore and on the later records too. It's they've, I think for the most part, have kind of like slowed things down quite a bit. They still have kind of those punky vibes to them too, but this is a good record. It's important, I think, that bands kind of explore the sounds that they can reach and the sounds that they can attain in their vibe or in their band. You don't want the same thing over and over again. And I think they really definitely explored those sounds across this record. It is one that you should definitely explore, and one that you should enjoy and take track by track. So that is Quality Softcore by the Mad Caddies from 1997. Appreciate you hanging out with me. You're listening to P is for Punk. It's a podcast that I love doing. And if you got some recommendations or anything you want to hear, I got some difficult letters coming up. Q was hard enough. X is probably going to be challenging. Z might be tough. So anything that you can suggest, I would greatly appreciate. Feel free to check out the link tree, linktr.ee/P is for punk. Appreciate you. We'll see you later.